Hello and welcome to We have the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro in our hands. Let's talk about whether they are worth it or not.
Wow, what a great question. It's almost like we stole that from the main channel. But before we get started, we have a quick word from our sponsor, Anytrans.
With Anytrans, you can easily back up your data and migrate it from one device to another, and that includes your contacts, your photos, even your messages, and even something like WhatsApp messages. So it's not just your device messages, it's cross in a lot of apps.
I know when you try to update sometimes, you actually can't move some data from apps to apps because it won't allow you to pull it back down.
Right. With this, it pulls any available data, just
straight up the phone, onto your computer, and then you can sync that over to your new device.
Right.
That also works from Android to iOS, right?
Yes. Cross-platform, you can go computer to computer. Great.
So if you're ready to take control over your data or you just want to upgrade to that next iPhone, definitely be sure to check out Anytrans at the link in the description. And they also have a giveaway going on right now of the iPhone 12. So to enter, all you need to do is tweet out or Facebook or Instagram any kind of story about your first iPhone with the hashtag backup with Anytrans and tag Anytrans, and you will be entered to win an iPhone 12. So thank you very much to Anytrans for sponsoring this video. Now let's talk about this 12 Pro.
So I argue that unless you are a quote-unquote true pro, you should not get the 12 Pro at all. You should either save your money or...
Wait, is the first option just not to buy a phone?
No, it's to buy the 12.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah.
Because it's about $150 different when you compare them apples to apples with the same...
With 128 gigs of storage.
128 gigs of storage.
That's actually, 150 is not the biggest difference in the world.
It's not the biggest difference in the world, but I don't think you get $150 worth of upgrades on this. So I think you should either save your money and get the 12, or even the 12 mini, which is even cheaper.
Or the 11, still on sale for $600.
Correct.
So you don't like the Pro at all, essentially.
I don't. I think that if you're gonna spend the extra money, you should spend the extra money and get the Pro Max, which is a true upgrade.
So
now, we don't have the 12 Pro Max right now. It's coming out next month. So we'll do a comparison of that later on. But this just doesn't seem like a big enough step up to justify the cost to me.
So I will say for the $150 difference that it really is, you do get a few things. So you get a slightly upgraded camera. So you get a telephoto camera. So that's in addition to the ultra wide and the wide. You get LiDAR, which is nice for focusing in the dark and whatnot.
But it's still kind of a gimmick. It's a gimmick right now, but when you include it on the phone, it means that someone's going to find a use for it, and then gimmicks become less gimmicky.
Well, it's for AR, and it's for... I do think that you can use it day one with like autofocus.
Sure.
You also do have the ability to do Pro RAW on the 12 Pro, at least at some point, which if you're a pro, I think that's a major advantage, right?
Yeah, so let me explain what Pro RAW is. It takes raw data from the sensor and then lets you manipulate the photos to the maximum potential. Now, the problem with doing something like that on the iPhone is the true raw data doesn't include any of the neural engine, any of the sharpening, any of the processing that the iPhone is doing, which is a big reason why the iPhone looks so good.
The iPhone is better at editing your images than you are. There's so much that goes into what these phones do. I mean, it's not just like, oh, just snap a photo, right? I mean, what you get out of the lens and the sensor just straight up is fine, but so much of what makes these phones look good as far as images is just all that processing. And Pro RAW basically gives you the best of both worlds.
Right, so you still get the raw data to manipulate it to be, whatever color, whatever contrast, whatever white balance, all the normal raw stuff, but then you still get to keep all that processing data, which is huge. Now, the only people I think are really gonna benefit from that are, like we said, true pros. So we take all of our thumbnails, we take all of our Instagram, any of our social, we usually end up using an iPhone of some sort. It takes great photos and it's super convenient.
Yeah.
It's a way easier workflow than using, a dedicated stills camera, which then we have to transfer over to a computer, edit in, Photoshop or Lightroom.
It's a whole thing.
But
it's not out yet, though, to be fair. We haven't actually tried Pro RAW, but theoretically that will enable the iPhone to be more of a pro camera. There also are some smaller differences. So they both shoot 4K HDR video, but the difference is the 12 does it at 30 FPS or up to 30 FPS.
Yeah.
The Pro and the Pro Max will do it up to 60. I don't know who's shooting an HDR movie at HDR at 60 frames per second. If you are, cool, but I don't think that's a big deal.
It's just such a small niche, It's a cool feature, but how often are you actually gonna ever use that?
I mean, HDR video, to be clear, is great. The difference is you can still do 4K 60 and non-HDR on the 12. Like, the difference between the two in video is so minor.
Right.
Now, it will likely be bigger when you talk about the Pro Max, right? So I think that almost throws a big wrench in this whole comparison, because the Pro Max comes out next month and has a bunch of camera upgrades, right? It has all the stuff from the current phone, but it has a bigger, better sensor for the main wide angle with better stabilization. You also get a 2.5 times telephoto zoom, which is a little bit more zoomed in. And generally speaking, you're going to have just a bigger chungus to work with.
Every time. So all the things that you get with the Pro Max, you don't get it with the regular Pro, and that's why I think for that extra $100 or whatever, it's a much better sell. Like $100 for a much better camera sensor.
So you're saying the $100 jump between Pro to Pro Max is much more worth it than the 12 to the Pro?
Correct.
That makes a lot of sense, because otherwise, if you take off the Magsafe charger, which we'll talk about in a second, these phones are super similar, right? Not only in the hardware, but the screens are the same size, same resolution. Technically, the Pro gets a little bit brighter, but for peak brightness, it's the same. Not enough to make any difference. I will say one thing that I do wish the Pro had: ProMotion, this little thing that Apple calls their 120 hertz displays on the iPad that it's had for, what, like 3 years now?
3 years now. It's so that's where the iPhone certainly is lacking compared to other Android smartphones, which pretty much all the flagships now have some sort of 90 hertz or 120 hertz.
Absolutely.
So that was disappointing to see on this one. I don't think it's personally, I don't think it's a deal breaker. Strictly just because it gives you better battery life.
It's hard for me to swallow in 2020 going into 2021. A $1,000 plus flagship that does not support higher refresh rates. Sure, iOS is incredibly smooth with the animations. You have the A14 chip, which is very powerful, but you still don't get that same level of fluidity of a $400 OnePlus Nord, right? And all the performance in the world cannot make up for a 60 hertz display. I mean, think about it. When the the Note 20 came out, $1,000 60 hertz, we destroyed it. We're like, oh, this is stupid, this is terrible. I don't think it's fair not to give a lot of that same criticism to the iPhone. I get it on a $700 or $800 iPhone 12. Like, that's still a little bit questionable, but that's okay. I get that. But on a $1,000 flagship, it's not a deal breaker, I will agree. But that, I think, is not a... It's hard for me to get my head around that, I guess.
Yes. But at the same time, I'm willing to overlook it because there's something that they've added this generation, which I think is better overall, and that's MagSafe.
I thought you were about to say 5G is like,
no.
Hell no.
Apple said 5G enough in their presentation that I never have to hear it again.
No. Let's be fair here, okay? So
it's
the 12 and the 12 Pro, all of the iPhone 12 models have the exact same 5G implementation. Now, it does vary based on where you are in the world. The bands for 5G are different. Some places, or actually, I don't think anywhere outside the US right now has the super fast millimeter wave version. But generally speaking, you don't have any difference between the Pro Max and the Mini or whatever on the 5G speeds. Now, should you upgrade your phone for 5G? Nope. Don't do that. But it is at least nice that they keep that parity across all the phones. I was afraid that the smaller phones might cut on 5G or cut on millimeter wave, but that's not the case.
Right, and that's really nice that it's not that they're not cutting them out. What Apple has always done best, and that's take a problem that people had, and then kind of solve it in a really nice implemented way.
I hated USB-A. I'm glad they called that.
I know that a lot of people are gonna take a look at this and be like, wow, they didn't invent anything. This is something that's been around forever. There's never been a wireless charger this well implemented.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it because
that's
it
nice.
Snaps on. It's a really satisfying. Just look, no question. My phone right now is almost dead because I missed putting it on my wireless charger when I went to bed last night.
That's a real thing. No, this also solves one of the major issues with wireless charging. So my wife doesn't like to use it because she wants to actually be in bed on her phone and have it plugged in, right? And with this, if the cable is a little bit longer, I guess, you can still have your phone wireless charging, but you have it
whatever angle.
Yep. I will say that the fact that this is a USB-C cable means that you will need to get a fairly powerful USB-C power brick, at least 20 watts, which we did test that on the main channel. So if you haven't checked out that video, feel free to go do so. Also, if you made it this far in the video and you haven't subscribed, I'm not sure what you're doing, but clearly you're not doing the right thing, which is ringing the notification bell. But the thing with MagSafe is it's actually more than just the charging standard, because it also has a whole range of accessories, like a case that is magnetized for no particular reason.
That's, again, it's super simple, and now there's so many possibilities of what can be attached to this.
Yeah.
Tripod mounts for phones, you know, all the charging accessories.
It's like it's good enough. Now, there are also other accessories. So in addition to the cases, they will be selling soon a little like wallet case, I guess,
Yeah,
for a couple credit cards. It's nice to have.
It's nice, and there's like whatever we can think of for this, you know, theoretically you could do like a pop socket, though it's not gonna be quite as secure.
Oh,
it's
that's a good idea,
temporary.
actually. Yeah, you can just pop it right on.
Yeah, you're not gluing something to your phone.
But that is, to be fair, a feature on, again, all of the 12
Yes.
Pro models. It is shared across the board. I do think it's a big deal. But I think when we talk about why you should buy a 12 versus a 12 Pro, it's weird because we've never had two phones that were the same size, or two iPhones that were the same size, that essentially have the same feature set with some minor differences, right? Like before, you might want to go with the iPhone 11 Pro because it's just smaller, right? Like that was personally for me, I just liked that size. But now that we have the mini, I have my little chungus, so I'm totally happy.
And I think that we're in a really good place right now that we don't normally get to be in with Apple. So right now we have, at almost every $100 increment, a phone at a different price point, and we've never had that.
So
Starting
SE?
starting at $400, we have the SE2. At $500, we have the 10R.
Ooh, that's actually pretty good.
Which is you know, I didn't notice a huge difference from my 11 to the 10R.
Yeah.
The 11.
$600, right?
$600 for the 11.
That low-key might be the best deal.
I agree, because again, if like the cameras are pretty much the same. Yes, the A14 chip in these is more powerful, but the 13 was also super powerful.
Yes.
And it could do pretty much everything that you threw it at anyway.
And I almost guarantee you the 11 will have better battery life than the 12. We've only had the 12 for a little while, but because of it has that higher res OLED display, you have 5G, you have a lot of stuff that kind of sucks battery. The 11 actually might be a good phone for a lot of people. And then of course, once you get past the $700 price point of the mini, you go up to the standard at $800.
The only one we don't have is at $900.
The iPhone 11 Pro Lite, 5G, 4G plus.
You skipped $900, and then at $1,000 we had the Pro, and then at $1,100 we had the Pro Max. Literally, whatever price point iPhone you want, you got. I argue that's the most robust lineup out of any manufacturer of phones.
Well, Samsung makes a phone every $15. What do you mean?
They do, but Samsung's not going to pay attention to their cheap budget phones at that lower price point. After the first year, maybe two, they're going to be abandoned.
Sure.
Where with Apple, the SE at $400 is going to be supported for minimum 5 years. If you're an Apple person, you're probably going to be buying another Apple. If you're an Android person, you're probably going to be buying another Android.
When we look at these two phones specifically, because of course, if you're buying an iPhone right now, the Mini and the Max are a few weeks away, a month away, something like that.
Yeah.
So I think the main difference comes down to this. There's some small camera improvements on the Pro, but unless you care about stuff like ProRAW, not a big deal. For the frame of this phone, it's stainless steel, whereas it's aluminum on the 12. But the difference is, I actually kind of like the way that the 12 feels more. Now, I like the matte glass on this versus the sort of glossy glass, but the actual frame around the 12 is aluminum and it is matte, which means that it feels to me much, much nicer, because this one, even though it's nice when you first pull it out of the box, it is fingerprinty immediately.
So in a month, we're going to have the same conversation again of, you know, do you get the Mini versus the 12, and then do you get the 12 Pro versus the Pro Max?
Sounds like a great reason to subscribe to This Is.
Thanks again to our sponsor, AnyTrans, for sponsoring this video. Let us know in the comments below what you are going to be getting. Are you going to be getting the 12 Pro, the 12 Mini, the 12 Pro Max, the Pixel 5, the Nord, the S20
You can't name any
FE?
other Android phones, can you?
There's too many phones. We also have that video, so go check that out. Thanks for watching.
What a great This Is episode.